think Larry Johnson's right. We're not getting the story here. Let's look at the gun. The gun was a 30-06, right? Older gun, iron sights, not a scope, iron sights. Is it possible for the kid that's been accused of killing Charlie Kirk to make that shot? It's possible. But with a 30-06, there's no possible way it's going to lodge in the neck. It should have blown the left half of his head off.
In a recent interview with Nima, John Kiriakou examines the assassination of Charlie Kirk, raising critical questions about the official narrative. He dissects the forensic details of the shooting, the logistics of the alleged shooter's escape, and the FBI's surprising involvement in a case with no federal jurisdiction. Kiriakou's analysis challenges the surface-level story and invites viewers to consider what might be hidden beneath the headlines.
By going through the neck, coming out the backside, and taking out everything that it hit. But it didn't. Another issue is the escape. First of all, how is it even possible that he was able to get up onto the roof of the closed, being renovated student center undetected? I find that hard to believe. But while carrying a 30-06 rifle, we heard a lot after the killing that he took it apart quickly. Now we know that he didn't take it apart. It was found intact in the woods. So then what? He shot Charlie Kirk and then somehow miraculously got off the roof of the building and had nobody see him carrying a rifle as he was running away? There are so many questions here that the government isn't answering, that the authorities aren't answering, that of course people are going to come up with different ideas and different scenarios. But another question I have that I think we haven't really asked ourselves yet is, why is the FBI involved in the first place? Okay, this killing was in Utah, right? The shooter was from Utah. Alleged shooter. He left his home in Utah and drove to the site of the crime, which was in Utah. There was no crossing of state lines. There was literally nothing to federalize this case. So why in the world did the FBI run to Utah to take over the case? It's not a federal case. And it just makes me think that there's some sort of cover-up afoot here. And like you said, and you said correctly, every time we're presented with a plausibility, it falls apart under scrutiny. And listen, if podcasters like me, like I, can poke holes in the state and the FBI's investigation, then they should be ashamed of themselves. Then we know that the official story is not what really happened. Why didn't the White House try to bring people together? And cui bono? Let's look at cui bono first. Who benefits? There are a lot of different factions that benefit, frankly. So both people and groups on both the right and the left benefit from this. On the one hand, the right gets a martyr, to the point where there have been congressional bills sponsored just in the past several weeks to make a Charlie Kirk coin, commemorative coin, but in the National Mint. There was a bill this past week that was sponsored to build a Charlie Kirk memorial statue on the campus of every state university in America. It's insanity.
Kiriakou delves into the broader implications of Kirk's assassination, exploring who stands to benefit and why the event has triggered such intense speculation. He highlights the rapid shift in American public opinion regarding Israel, noting that Kirk's recent criticism of Israeli actions may have made him a liability to powerful interests. Drawing on his experience in intelligence and government, Kiriakou compares Kirk's influence to historic figures and questions whether the official story is masking deeper motives.
Yeah, Max Blumenthal is a friend of mine, and I'll tell you what, he's one of the most brilliant people I've ever encountered. He is able to put these pieces of a puzzle together in a way that almost no one else I know is able to do. Charlie Kirk, throughout his life, was one of the most pro-Israel, one of the most pro-Zionism figures on the American right, until recently. Even Charlie Kirk began to take a stand against Israeli war crimes in Gaza. You know, at the same time, there was a poll that was released this last week, Nima. I'm sure that you saw it, and I think it's very important. On October 7th, 2023, Americans supported Israel over the Palestinians by 46 percentage points. This week, Americans support the Palestinians by 1 percentage point over the Israelis. So the Israelis are losing American public opinion, and they're doing it very quickly. Well, if somebody as powerful, as respected as Charlie Kirk, with a following the size of Charlie Kirk's, decides to switch sides and support the Palestinian cause or Palestinian human rights, just human rights, that would be a serious problem for the Israelis. So did the Israelis have a reason for this to happen? You bet they did. Did they do it? I don't see it. But yeah, Charlie Kirk was the center of the movement. I agree. You know, they have Ben Shapiro, they have Benny Johnson, they have a handful of other people. They're not Charlie Kirk. So this is going to hurt. This is going to do damage. Donald Trump said that he would not have been elected to a second term were it not for Charlie Kirk. It was Charlie Kirk that brought young people voting for the very first time over not just to the Trump campaign, but to MAGA as a movement. And so Charlie Kirk was one of those unique figures who had a generational impact on American politics. Think of somebody like Martin Luther King or Robert F. Kennedy Sr. I would compare his political power, his authority, to those people. You know, I met him one time. He was a kid. He was 17 or 18 years old. I was working on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and he came with a group of Tea Party people, which was funny to me because I was watching them momentarily, and I thought, you know what? It's that kid who's the leader. It's not any of the adults. This kid is the leader. And then they were going office to office lobbying for tax cuts. And then when it came time to leave, there was a press conference, and he did the press conference, a 17-year-old kid. And I remember saying to a colleague of mine, boy, that kid's going places, whoever he is. Like, who is he? Oh, his name's Charlie Kirk. I said, I never heard of him. He's just a child. And he was leading a movement at the age of 17. That's why I say that he was one of those, whether you like him or not, whether you agree with him or not, and I found myself disagreeing with him on, I don't know, 80% of the issues. He was a born leader. And that was what his real service to the right and to the Republican Party was.
Reflecting on the aftermath, Kiriakou warns that the establishment's inability to address core issues is fueling public distrust and driving people away from traditional politics. He underscores the dangers of unchecked violence and the potential for further escalation in the Middle East, urging vigilance as narratives unfold. Kiriakou's insights leave us with a pressing question. When official stories don't add up, what truths are being kept from the public?